Hello there and welcome to JRT Reviews. I'm JRT and this is a review. Phoebe Bridgers' sophomore album Punisher highlights a singer-songwriter coming into her own, detailing the influences and questions that shape her music the most. Despite only being 25 and on her second album, Phoebe Bridgers has worked on two other projects in between her two releases, two band efforts, the first Boy Genius and the Better Oblivion Community Centre. In the past years, they've both released self-titled projects, an LP for the Better Oblivion Community Centre. Better Oblivion Community Centre's self-titled was a very decent project. It was a solid effort I enjoyed and also produced one of my favourite singles from 2019, Dylan Thomas. Better Oblivion Community Centre bandmate Connor Oberst does feature on this album, however this is strictly a Bridger release and you can hear that all over this. On top of those two band efforts, she also contributed vocals on a few tracks on the 1975's latest album, including the single Jesus Christ 2005 God Bless America. Mouthful. And whilst the band projects she has worked on, yes, they are based in indie folk, indie rock sounds, which her own brand of music is, you can really see the way she molds herself around collaborators and works with others. Punisher is more than the sum of its parts. At times it shows a minimalist, stripped back, vulnerable side, at other times a total outpouring of emotion, both vocally and lyrically, and musically via overwhelming instrumentals. It's no surprise to me that the titular track, Punisher, is actually a tribute to the late Elliott Smith, who was pretty much the king of emo indie folk, with stripped back guitars, very raw emotionally and instrumentally, without very little fanfare and slight deft touches to his production. His combination of raw musical and emotions is an apparent influence throughout this project. However, to pretend that that's all this project is, an imitation or heavily inspired by Elliott Smith, would be disingenuous to both artists. For example, from the opening interlude track, DVD Music is filled with poetic violins, and you can tell straight away there's a high level production on this. Yes, this project does remind me of Smith's self-titled project, where part of the charm of it was its slightly amateurish production values because of the low budget the studio provided. It raw emotionally, but that was matched by very stripped back and very simple, basic, cheap instruments. It had that loose amateur feel to it thanks to the budget. Here, there is a decent budget, there's a decent level of production. That's an issue. She just uses the tools when she needs to and wants to. Some of the little details are similar. Quite often, just like on Smith's self-titled, you can hear the scraping of the fingers down the neck of the guitar, which sometimes can be attributed to like sloppy playing. But here it just feels, again, overusing the word now, raw but natural. Just it happens. To get a super well polished recording of a guitar, whilst it isn't impossible, this just gives it an authenticity which helps bolster the message and the emotions of the lyrics. For example, that rough playing of the guitar, and I'm not saying it's purposely bad, but it's discreet and in the background enough to be charming rather than amateurish or shoddy. After the almost sinister yet somber atmosphere generated by the instrumental at the start, generated with the opening instrumental, the first song, Garland Song, is far more upbeat in nature. There's a real warmth to the sound of it, however it does retain that hollow and spacious sound the instrumental at the beginning started, and during the chorus we get this lovely duet. It's actually Bridges' tour manager who has a real deep, almost baritone voice. It produces a lovely contrast and sounds brilliant. It almost comes across to me as a shadow of Bridges' voice. It's so deep and dark and just there in the background, but they are singing at the same time. It's a real nice effect. Bridges singing on this just seems effortless from the start of the LP to the end of it. It just feels whenever she uses her voice, she's using just enough of it to get to the point or the feeling across. And when she needs to use more force or more emotion or more power behind it, she can and she will. You follow track Kyoto, again, it's more upbeat and continues that trend of more happier sounds. It's more up-tempo, and then it also features some really nice bouncy horns in the background, which start off subtle before slowly being brought into the foreground and given their own instrumental near the end of the song. Here, Bridges utilises her voice with differing levels of impact, creating a real emotional vocal track. The voice manipulation at the start of the titular track, Punisher, creates an impersonal view, which is quite fitting because it's about a person she's never met, Elliott Smith. Obviously, Elliott Smith sadly took his life way before Bridges anywhere near famous. Here, Bridges is talking about Smith and how she idolises someone she never met. She's a super fan who would probably talk his ear off if they ever met. That's what she calls a Punisher. That's what the song's about. And to me, it's such an interesting concept for a celebrity or an artist to approach, because normally we see them as all being part of the same class, but there is levels to fame and celebrity. It's interesting to see someone who is adored talk about how they adore a celebrity in the same sense as their fans. Halloween also features more minimalist guitars. It almost sounds like there's just enough pressure applied to the strings to produce the notes just enough force, just the perfect amount. You can hear it so delicate. There's some really interesting instruments chosen on here. There's either a wind-inspired synth or a specific wind instrument that's manipulated in a certain way that I just can't place, but it's really almost harrowing in the background of the track. The best way I can describe this track is by describing it as soft yet purposeful. On Chinese satellite bridges, again, bridges are an interesting concept of wanting something to believe in terms of religion. She's pining for something to believe in, which to me is such a powerful and important topic. On the track, there's this tension that builds thanks to the drums, and it feels like it is building to a big burst of sound and energy. However, it is instead translated to some mournful violins, which eventually die back down to the percussion once more, and it's playing against expectations, but it's really powerful and really interesting sonically. Moonsong is an extremely linear track that kind of gets rid of a chorus and tells a story from going from verse to verse. It's another raw and minimalist song where we can hear the screeches on the guitar and really subtle cymbal playing in the background. As the song progresses, we can hear the emotion kind of build in Bridges' voice. For large portions of this project, the focus is pretty much on Bridges' vocals and lyrics, which is good because they're good. They deserve the spotlight. Whilst there certainly isn't any bad instrumentals on this, or shoddy playing, or concepts that I just find boring or asinine, it's nice to have them sort of in the background yet also incorporated into songs. Whilst, yes, Bridges' voice is at the forefront, it still feels connected. It isn't just someone singing over something. It all feels entwined in a loose sort of way. On Saviour Complex, a simple basic guitars is built upon with an array of different instruments placed on top of the two guitars at the start, which softly supplements the sound of the song. The teetering, almost teasing drums and percussions at the start of ICU foreshadows the eventual burst of energy right near the end of the song. And whilst a banjo doesn't always mean a song is country, the track Graceland definitely draws from the genre, even though it is more firmly indie folk or singer-songwriter. Again, there's some subtle production choices on here, such as the organ synths hidden behind the guitars and violins that really garnish the track. The slight manipulation at the start of the closing track, This Is the End, reoccurs throughout the song as it kind of whirs to life, picks up speed. It's a ballad that eventually builds into a semi-orchestral ending for the album. You can feel the power build as more instruments are brought in, with horns, heavier percussion, and strings really bringing a sense of grandiosity to a fairly minimal project. It ends in a cacophony of sound and chants before descending into screams from Bridger, which eventually leads into a raspy, hoarse voice that can't scream no longer. Overall, I feel in this project, Bridges has now proved that she can produce fine art on her own. Part of the team used very little to do a lot, or use a lot to make a masterpiece. She represents the simplicity of the genre of both indie folk and singer-songwriter, whilst also incorporating grander scale elements, creating a fine body of work that will only increase her reputation. This is a charming project that I do see myself returning to at some point in the near future and further along. All things considered, I'm leaning towards an 8.5 on this project. So that was a review on JRT Reviews, but what's your view? Feel free to let me know down below how you felt about the project. If you agree or disagree with me, that's fine. That's allowed. Safe space here. I won't judge. I probably will. Recommendations, of course, always welcome, and your feedback as well. I read every single comment, which at the moment is just one. That's his first, which will remain true for the rest of the time. So congratulations to that person. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, that would be a massive help. Liking the video also makes me quite happy. Hopefully I'll be moving to a more regular daily upload schedule. Daily reviews every weekday. And the next few days we'll have the debut of 2 new shows. The first one is Eep, where I look at some recent EPs that I've listened to, and then Rapid Record Reviews, where I quickly go through some LPs that didn't quite get a full review on the channel. On top of that, keep an eye out for my top 10 albums of the year so far to complement worst albums of the year. That'll come out at some point this week. That's all from me. Stay safe.